Okay, well, welcome everyone. Tom Dillon, Secretary General of World Archery. I'm not sure we get the presentation on the screen. Hello. Okay, so I come from the sport of archery. I think everyone knows archery. It's one of the older sports in human history. And what I will do is I will give a short overview of the events we have. I wouldn't be able to give an overview of all the events we have because then no one else would present. And of course, you want to do only archery events, I'm sure. But so I give an overview of two events that I've chosen in discussion with our events department. And also some of the deadlines that are coming up. And actually, I will start with that. And then afterwards, okay, if there's questions, I can give you, of course, answers on that as such. So these are some of the events that are currently still open, and I would say that these are the next events we have available. We have one event next year. We have the World Cup stage, which is 4 stages and one final at the end. And next year we have one of them is open, which is in the Americas. We have normally one in the Americas, 2 in Europe, and 1 in Asia. And the one in the Americas is actually open because where we were planning to go, unfortunately, is no longer possible. So we are looking for one there. If we can't do it in the Americas, we'll do it in Asia or in Europe. And then we have the final of the World Cup. The next one open is also next year. And so the deadlines for both of those are in September of 22. And then World Cup stage 24 to 27. So that's for in 2 years from now. Again, September 2022 we'll make a decision. And then Para Championships 25, World Championships 27, and the Congress 27. So those are the deadlines that are open. So I'll highlight 2 events that are in this list. One is the World Archery Championships, and the other one will be a World Cup stage. So the championships, basically, like I said, the next one open is 27, 29, or the ones thinking much further ahead, 31. So typically, it's organized in July till September. Of course, we can be a little bit flexible depending on which part of the world you are. For instance, we had a championship, was Para World Championship, was in February this year in Dubai because because of weather it made more sense to be in the winter as such. But normally it's between July and September. We have the World Championship titles. It's our largest event. Around 600 athletes, live TV in more than 150 territories, and it has the highest economic impact of the events we organize. So, hosting returns on-site engagement, we want to make sure that when we do it somewhere, you see where we are. These are images from Mexico City. We want to really show that we were in Mexico City, and you can see it. We were really in the center of the city. So we're very much using temporary venues or existing venues. So we want to be sustainable, limited investment. It's affordable. It appeals to both gender and lots of ages. And we want to inspire and engage activities for tourists and locals. So we want to really leave I would say, a good image of the city where we are. And this through clean, dynamic, and a growing sport. And we use sporting experience for local community and also for the volunteers. It's a fantastic thing to be in an iconic venue in your city as such. So in terms of the returns, well, turnover for the World Championship, depending on where you are, is between 1 and 3 million US. Broadcast 62 million and rising. Well, we have one of our guys helping us with broadcast in the room, so putting him a little bit under pressure. Average economic impact around 1.7 million. This is based on the last World Championships we had and the independent research that was carried out there. We have large social media coverage. We were the 7th most seen sport on social media during the Olympic Games. So we are really very good on social media. and average visitors around 8,300. Depends really on what you want to achieve. If you want to have the Mexico City one was a good example, is where there were no tickets sold, but there was around 25,000 people that came and watched because that was the wish of the Mexico City government. What you need a practice venue, 40 to 50 targets, qualification 80 targets. It's basically a 300 times 100 meter field. And then for the finals, you need really, like you see here from Mexico, very small setup, minimum 1,500 seat spectator stand, and then we need a video wall, and the more engagement or activities, activation that you can do with the sponsors, of course, the better. These are some of the numbers of the last 3 editions. For sure, the one in 's-Hertogenbosch in 2019 was the biggest one, 586 participants. And the turnover we estimated 1.17 million. Yankton 21 was, of course, a COVID year. It was difficult. There were a lot of restrictions. Some countries couldn't come. So it was a little bit lower. But 2023, which will be in Berlin, 2025 will be in Gwangju in Korea. We expect both of them to be in the line of 's-Hertogenbosch and probably higher even. We have 2 disciplines. It's World Championship for adults. We have 3 events, individual team and mixed team. It's a day of competition. And then we have the draw, the practice, and the finals. And then the competition format is at 70 and 50 meter. Broadcast is some of the current broadcast partners. In China, we're on CCTV. Spot TV is Korea and around Korea. Claro in Mexico and South and Central America. Eurosport and Sony is in India. We reach around 150 territories. Like I said, 81 million audience. And the last championship, we had 269 hours of broadcast over 25 channels. In the ones we monitored, because there's a lot of also ones that we don't monitor the actual transmission. And then for social media, like I said, YouTube is very popular in archery. We have close to 500,000 subscribers. And Facebook, 424,000 fans at the moment. And our website as well, pretty popular as such. Okay, there's some testimonies of the IOC president, some visitors' quotes and so on. I'll leave that to read afterwards. World Cup stages. So this is also another important event. So we have bids open, like I said, 23 for the Americas. For the other ones, 24, 25, 26. So we have World Cup titles. It's a yearly series event. For the rest, the number of athletes is a little bit lower. But it's also an event where you can generate quite some interest and some revenue. Again, we use iconic venues. We have Shanghai, where unfortunately we couldn't go in the last 3 years, but it's middle of the city center in Shanghai. Or we have been close to a beach in Turkey, for instance. So we really want to show where we are and promote the city as such. Again, great numbers in terms of participating countries, potential turnover. You can even get to 500,000 without any problems. A little bit smaller venue needed. Well, here you see Berlin at the bottom, then Shanghai in the middle. And the top one, I'm not 100% sure. I think it was in South America. And in terms of participation, so it's a little bit lower than World Championships, but okay, the investment is also a little bit lower. Again, we see in 2020 we didn't have the World Cup because of COVID, of course. In 21 we were, I would say, a little bit down with the numbers because of restrictions. But the average for this year is 321. So we see that we are very much back in the numbers of 2018. So we recuperated quite a bit since then. Okay, the competition schedule is quite similar to the World Championship, but it's 2 days, it's 6-day competition, so it's less number of days. broadcast partners the same, and social media the same. So if you have more questions as such, Thomas Aubert, who will be tomorrow with, will be at the Olympic Museum tomorrow, so you can ask him. But of course, I'm also now ready to answer any questions you have. These, I would say, are two of the major products. Then we have other products that really depends on what you want to achieve. With World Cup Final is a good starting point for many new cities that want to organize, because it's only a 2-day event. You don't need too many other things, and it will still highlight your city on where you are. It will still put it on the I would say, on television screens all around the world. So it's a different concept. So especially for people that are not used to organize archery events, probably World Cup Final is the one to start with. Then if you're looking just for bet nights, World Youth Championships are a great thing to do, because it's something where you have a lot of kids coming, parents come with them, so that's also a good tool to create bet nights. And then if you want to do something on more social impact, we have our Para Championships, where we have people competing wheelchair or other people with impairments. So it really depends on what you want. I think it's important to stress that we have products that match different strategies. So you need to determine as host city, what strategy, how do you see it in that strategy, and then I'm sure we can find a product that matches what you need. Okay, good. That was me talking. Now, if there's questions, ready to answer.
Yeah, we're just using the microphone, remember, please, because you are being broadcast to other cities, so there's millions of people.
So you cover the production costs. What about the sanction fee and the prize money?
So basically, for what concerns World Cup stage and World Cup final, we cover the prize money. So that's something that we take care of. Broadcast, we take care of. We have our broadcast partner is in one of the other rooms, QTV. And so together with them, we do a lot of remote production. And so we take care of broadcast. Then there is for each event staging fees, depending on which event, there's a certain cost. For World Championships, it's 150,000 Swiss franc. For World Cup stage, 30,000. And then there's a certain number of accommodation costs that we expect the organizer to take care of as such. But I would say all those details you can find on our website. In the last page, there was a link, and you can find all the details there.
So, and I assume you keep the international broadcast rights. You give the domestic rights to the LOC.
What we do is, okay, the domestic rights, we work together with the NOC, but if there is income, they go to the national body. International, we keep, yes.
Thank you.
Other questions, please do ask. Tom, so I think we can't really bring in questions from everybody else outside. I think the key message I'm taking away from what you've said is matching the actual event to a city needs. Yep. I must confess, I thought the hosting fees were incredibly low, which is probably the wrong thing to say amongst well,
the thing is, okay, let's be clear on that. We have hosting fees that are indeed lower than most. And one of the reasons is, okay, that for our top products, the two I mentioned, we keep the marketing rights for us. Now, if there is a big partner locally, we'll find a solution. But okay, the World Cup Series is the Hyundai World Cup Series. So we keep a certain part of the marketing rights for us, which is the reason why it's different in terms of pricing than if you, I know there's certain sports where you say, okay, you pay 1 million or 2 million, but you get all the marketing rights as well. So it depends on the model as such.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, from federations, from we've got Damian waiting to come on next. We've got plenty of time. Okay, what I'd recommend that we do as well, and I know certainly both the federations in the room would welcome it. If you do have feedback as well, not just questions, please offer it, because I think it's very interesting, Tom, that one of the bits of feedback that we get from cities is that some of the hosting fees are well beyond the numbers you've even talked about, and doesn't matter who, but there's a relatively new property that is basically asking the city to pay for everything up front and then subcontract it back. And the trouble is, in life, you remember the first number that somebody gives you. How much is it going to cost me to host this event? And when you go 50 million, our response as MEI is going, good luck. I think these are going to be pretty short conversations with the cities that we do. So it's very interesting, Tom. And again, a hugely broadly question, but in rough categories, there would obviously be the venues that broadly you would expect to see for free, broadly. Is that a fair comment? Yeah. And the overlay that goes with it?
Exactly. So we would expect the overlay, the transportation, local transportation, of course, not getting people to the place. And then there is entry fees that the participants pay to the organizing committee. Of course, they will pay for their accommodation. And okay, this is, let's be clear. That's how the financial model works. You put something on top of the accommodation, and with that you pay the event as such, and then what you can get from ticketing, from local marketing rights, and then just the marketing. Of course, one of the things that is included as such is the city name, or I would say the country name, is of course part of the branding of the venue.
Right, so it's named as that.
And this is something we also then measure at the end of the year. We do every year a measurement of all the partners, and that's something we report also then back in terms of the advertising, the equivalent advertising value that we generated with the actual events.
And just my last point, just as I'm trying to ask these questions, which I hope are of interest to all of you. If there was if there were two cities that were literally head to head for whatever event, and again, sorry, it's one of these sort of world peace type questions. What would probably swing you between that one and the, other than perhaps a geographic preference you will have talked about before, probably?
I think, okay, for the World Cup stages, it's more a question of being fair to our national federations. That if it was just a question of I would say organizing level or I would say revenues for us, we probably would be in one continent only, and that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So what we try to do is okay, see what is the potential of impact on the growth of the sport in the country. Is there some kind of, we've had some interesting proposals in the past where there was a kind of a legacy, but not in terms of, when legacy, you always think about buildings. That's the last thing we want. Legacy for us is human legacy, meaning that there is people after the event that can organize events, that can develop the sport in local clubs and so on. That would be much more of a, I would say, a selling point to us than, okay, we build a nice venue for us and then it doesn't be used afterwards.
Got it.
So I think that's very much, more and more we're looking at those things. Okay, what can it bring? Of course, if at the same time it allows us to introduce the sport to a potential big partner afterwards, that's also something that we would be interested in.
Great. No, thank you. I hope those illuminations are helpful. Are there any other comments? We've probably just got a minute or two left that you'd like to ask Tom before. For
instance, I give an example. We were going back this year to Mexico for our World Cup final. It will be the first country that has hosted 3 times the World Cup final, and the reason for it is that through the previous events we made a very good relationship with Claro Sports, the TV company, and that allows us then to have more visibility for our sport in Mexico and around Mexico. So these are things that we look at as such as well.
Helpful. Any other questions or comments before we lose Tom? No? Well, I always embarrass Tom by telling this. He's probably bored of me telling the story now, but he was the person actually that bullied us into running, and it is the right term, bullied us into running the first Federation Summit. We were not dealing with federations before, and he said, actually, you should be doing this. We said, there's no interest for us in federations. He said, I think you're wrong, and we held our first Federation Summit actually at World Archery Centre, I think 5 years ago now, which was a great success and hilarious to do the archery as well. Some really competitive delegates we had in those days. But so again, Tom, thank you very much for that, because look at the journey that we've gone on and what you've got in front of you now. How fantastic to have a room full of just host cities and people online. So I think we ought to give Tom a clap. You'd be embarrassed, but let's give it. So thank you once again, Tom. I really do appreciate it. And obviously, Tom's put his details up there. The information you need is online. You can see it's a process of dialogue, so I'm sure you'll take the trouble to follow up. But thank you again.